Hi, I'm Nick Palmisano.
And I'm Matt Finney.
And this is the Bad News Network. Last week we took a lot of heat for saying that there was enough evidence to hold an impeachment inquiry into President Trump after a whistleblower announced that he had had a phone call with the president of the Ukraine where he asked him to actually look into his political rival Joe Biden. Many of you felt that we weren't as fair as we typically are, and some of you even accused me of being a liberal, which I'm sure went over really well with liberals that were probably offended by that sentiment. I want to address this simply by saying that our mission is to deliver the closest approximation to the truth that we can with the information that we have, regardless of who is upset by what we say. That is not to say that we are always right. In fact, one of the things I really enjoy about this show is that sometimes we have really exceptional comments by people that are experts in areas that we are not, and I learn something, or maybe even change my opinion. But this show becomes just another editorial CNN or Fox show if we shy away from trying to do the right thing and deliver the truth as we see it. Our agenda is not to a party, but to the truth. We literally started this show so that we could deliver value to our customers at a period of time when media trust is at an all-time low. If we wanted to do the financially intelligent thing, we would go all in on one side or the other because that's how you get views, that's how you get fans. We're not doing that, and we never will. Nevertheless, I'm going to give you a week off from me editorializing about the president, and instead, we'll just deliver the facts. Senior Trump administration officials have leaked to the press that the president floated the idea of creating a moat on the border filled with alligators and snakes and an electrified fence. He further stated if immigrants were trying to get in illegally, that we should be able to shoot them below the waist and the legs to slow their progression. Though there are many anonymous accounts that have corroborated this story, the president denies ever saying anything about a moat filled with snakes. However, he has not denied his desire to shoot illegal immigrants in the legs. President Trump has doubled down on his phone call that landed him in hot water and kicked off an impeachment inquiry by publicly stating that the Ukraine and China should investigate the Bidens. He went on to state that if he was president of either country, that he would absolutely investigate the Bidens because if they don't, it's going to make them look bad or possibly weak. He also stated that what the Bidens did in China is as bad, if not worse, as what the Bidens did in the Ukraine. It is important to note that there is currently no evidence that the Bidens did anything illegal in either location. Say what you want about the man, but taking a possibly impeachable offense over a phone call and then clearly and publicly stating those exact same topics to the entire world while simultaneously virtually daring China and the Ukraine to man up takes balls of steel. Oh, my bad. I'm editorializing again. President Trump's Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, has refused to answer congressional subpoenas and has also outlawed members of the State Department from doing the same. President Trump's Attorney General, William Barr, has reached out to foreign intelligence agencies to investigate our own intelligence agencies, notably the FBI and the CIA, to see if they have been improperly investigating President Trump. Totes normal. This week on Twitter, President Trump stated, "The do-nothing Democrats should be focused on building up our country, not wasting everybody's time and energy on bull," which is what they have been doing ever since I got overwhelmingly elected in 2016. Get a better candidate, you'll need it. He later stated that Adam Schliff could not carry Mike Pompeo's blank strap, which was an allusion to jock strap. And in my final President Trump news of the day, the president posted a video on Twitter of the Nickelback video Photograph, but it was changed so that the picture that he held up like this was Vice President Biden, his son, and the Ukrainian businessman that Vice President Biden claimed to have never met. Nickelback had the video removed from Twitter for copyright infringement. All facts, no editorial.
A San Diego backyard shed is available to rent for just over $1,000. The listing calls it a studio, but realistically you'll probably find a lawnmower, a bag of half-used grass seed, a shovel, a rake, and that top you don't want to touch anymore in there. Renters raised hell online, with one guy saying that he would rent out his closet for over $1,000. Still, the shed is a bargain for $300 less the asking price of local area studios. The owner stated that applicants must have a credit score of 650, make 2.5 times the rental amount, have no history of evictions, and have rental references. He also stated that he is excited to embrace his new landlord status and looks forward to shedding the responsibilities of lawn care management.
Bernie Sanders rolled out his Tax the Rich plan this week, stating that he doesn't think billionaires should exist. Essentially, this plan is to tax people on assets that they already have, so money in their bank accounts, investments, property, whatever. So for those of you worth $10 billion or more, you're going to get taxed 8% annually on the money that you hold. So for example, someone like Jeff Bezos, who is worth $110 billion, would have to pay $9 billion annually. Even though it isn't like he has $110 billion in the bank account, much of his assets are actually tied up in the Amazon stock. So he would have to liquidate stock in order to pay this tax on money he's already been taxed on. Zang. Sanders also proposes a national wealth registry, and in order to make sure that people can't hide in general population, he wants a number tattooed to their forearm. Sanders projects this will bring in $4.25 trillion over 10 years, and he looks forward to wasting it.
Chicago teachers have set a strike date for October 17th. This is to show their resolve while negotiating with the city for increased wages, reduced class size, and increased support staff. If acted upon, the strike would put some 360,000 students out of class until the issue is resolved. The Chicago Teachers Union emphasized that the goal is not to strike, but to achieve a new contract with the city. Students emphasize that they don't care and welcome any undetermined time off from school.
Bernie Sanders has canceled his campaign indefinitely. Reports say that Sanders suffered chest pain that resulted in heart surgery and in the emplacement of 2 stents. Sanders representatives say he's doing great, but holy hell, are the age jokes going to be coming in hot now. There have been rumors of grumblings in the Sanders campaign that maybe he should step down, that he's getting too old, that the DNC doesn't want him as president, that he's a socialist, a borderline communist, that he just doesn't have that little extra something that's going to get him elected. But people don't have the heart to tell him.
Dallas police officer Amber Guyger was sentenced this week for her killing of an unarmed man in his apartment back in September 2018. Guyger, a white female officer, entered Botham John's apartment, allegedly thinking it was hers, and shot him dead upon entering. Her story was that she parked on the wrong floor. Exhausted from a long shift, she went into the apartment thinking it was hers. The door was unlocked and she killed who she thought was an intruder. Guyger has been sentenced to 10 years with eligibility for parole in 5. Outside the courthouse, a group of people who were angry at the lenient sentencing chanted, "No justice, no peace." The real surprise in all this came from Brant John, the brother of Botham, as he took the stand to address Guyger. He just said that he loves her as a person, as his brother would, and got down off of the stand and hugged her. Then the judge came down and hugged her too. Everybody was crying in the courtroom. The message was powerful from the John family. They definitely practice what they preach. Nevertheless, many people were angry with him for letting Guyger off the hook, saying that black people shouldn't have to be bigger than their oppressors. This is odd sentiment. Nobody said the man had to forgive her. You can hate her, live your own life. Personally, we'd rather be like Brant. But since Nick and I are both Italian, we'd probably be like all you angry people and be plotting to get her shivved in prison. I'm not sure what the point of all this is, but Brant seems like a stand-up guy, and we hope that the John family comes together and is able to heal and get past this, and also that we would totally have her shivved.
A World War II-era bomber crashed on an aborted takeoff, killing 7 and injuring 6. The B-17 crashed at Bradley International Airport in Connecticut. The names of those killed have yet to be released, and the report is still due as to how the tragedy occurred.
A teenage protester was shot this week by a Hong Kong policeman. The boy is in stable condition, but people are pissed. Droves of protesters took to the streets, many chanting, "Don't shoot our kids." Reports say that the police officer was set upon by a group of protesters while protesters and police were clashing. The teens swung at the police officer with a metal rod, at which point the police officer fired, hitting him in the chest. So this escalation of force is what everybody has their arms up about. So the cops have guns, but the citizens don't. Thus far, the cops have exercised the utmost control, meaning they've beaten the brakes off of protesters the old-fashioned way. The moment they decide not to play by the schoolyard rules, though, the protesters are straight out of luck. And that's where the fight for rights thing gets real interesting. Stay tuned, America.
And finally, in Florida news, the smoldering remains of a Florida woman were found inside a melted-out porta-potty. Firefighters responded to the call Sunday, finding a construction site porta-potty aflame. There have been no official determinations yet as to what occurred, but police believe that it's possible the woman lit up a cigarette, which was probably a hot situation, which was the spark that caused that porta-potty to go up like a 4th of July party. Others have suggested that she did this in protest over the Hong Kong police. Either way, this story is too hot to squat. This is a shitty situation. I realize some of you don't think it's funny given that someone lost their life, but Methane thinks you protest too much. And with that, I'm Nick Palmisano.
And I'm Matt Finney.
And this is the Bad News Network. Our news is at least as bad as the news you're getting already, and just to go back to that Florida story one more time, police still don't know what happened with that explosion. They were dumbfounded.